Here's a video to show how to install MySQL on the Mac. To start, go to the MySQL.com website. You'll notice there's a menu up top. Select Downloads. And the version that we're interested in are the community downloads. This means these are the public non-pay versions. And if you click on that link, you go to MySQL Community Downloads. And though you're not really installing a server, you want the community server version. So click on that. And the server has already detected that I'm coming in from a Mac OS operating system. And so I have the choice of a couple of different versions. And what I really want is probably the disk image archive. This is the easiest one to install. So I will click on it and notice that they give us this signature down here. We can check on that later. Let's go and download. I could log in or sign up or just no thanks. I'll just start my download right here. This is a big download. It'll take a few minutes. I'll skip ahead. So we have downloaded the file, and we can check its integrity by using the MD5 digest algorithm. It's a hash of the file contents, which we saw here. It was this string here. And we can do that by going to the terminal on the Mac and just typing MD5 space and then dragging onto that the file that we just downloaded and hitting return, and it says C70008888. That's a lot of stuff. Let's check it. So I will speak it out.
C7E08820991E19998 CF40K2B7301A64D.
So I think we can be confident that we downloaded the file as signed by MySQL, by the people at Oracle, and now we're ready to proceed. This file we have downloaded is a DMG, a disk image. So if we double click on it, the Mac will decompress it, and it gives us a .pkg, a package file, which if we double click on will then ask us if we would like to run a program to determine if the software can be installed. Let's continue. You notice we've got the MySQL branding over here, and we'll continue. I carefully read all this. It's wonderful. Go ahead, continue, and I'll agree. This takes 433 megabytes, which is not a small amount of space, but we'll install it. And I'll log in with my fingerprint. Now I'm being asked what kind of password do I want to use. We need to enter a password for the root user. In Unix systems, the root user is the controller of the whole system. So we aren't here entering the password for the root user of the whole system, which would be you on your Mac, but the root user for MySQL. So let's just say capital TEC dash 332 and maybe an exclamation point. And now we're allowed to finish. So make a note of whatever it was that you want to put into that system. I wrote capital TEC-332 exclamation point, and now I will verify with my fingerprint. So I now have MySQL Server installed on my Mac. This has installed the application program and also some daemons, DAEMONS, which are these programs that run in the background. The usefulness of those we'll learn later, but so far we're in pretty good shape. So I'm going to close this out, and we're good with the installer. I don't need a copy of this anymore. Let me make a detour over here to show you what version of the Mac OS my Mac is running. I'm running Mojave, which is 10.14. If you have Catalina, which is 10.15, which you might have if you have a newer Mac or a Mac that you've upgraded, you may have some additional steps to take to get the software to run on your Mac. But I'm going to close this out, and I'm going to go back to these MySQL community downloads. What we also want to install is, besides the community server, the Workbench, which is a graphical user interface to deal with the MySQL server, which we will get a lot of benefit out of because we can enter SQL commands into the MySQL Workbench. And later on, when we get to the point where we're writing Python programs on your Mac, you will be dealing with that daemon that I mentioned previously. But for now, let's install the DMG archive of MySQL Workbench. This is considerably smaller, only 106 megabytes, at least raw. So let's download it. And no, let's just start my download instead of logging in. This should go quickly. And since I'm in Chrome, I can click on this and open up the DMG file. And here's the interface. But wait a minute, are we sure this is the right file? So let's go back a bit. Here's the MD5 hash for the file. I'll go to the terminal. I'll clear with a Control-L, MD5 space, and then drag the file in from my file in the Finder. Downloads, and then hit return. Oops. MD5, and it says 40433. Okay, wait a minute, that's too much. I'll have my Mac read this to me.
43,349 A6 A69 C601 B5 FB 5131 FDD 12,274.
So, looks good. So we got an unadulterated version of the file from the MySQL server. And let's go back to this. And in this case, the installation is much simpler. We just drag the app, an icon for which is right here, onto an icon for our applications folder, and it will be available to us. So I'll drag it over there and there. Takes a few seconds, but MySQL Workbench is now installed on my computer. So that's it. That's the installation of MySQL Server, the Community Edition, and MySQL Workbench, which is our graphical user interface.